Sometimes it's too obvious to be true, and sometimes it's just obvious. Gray Zabel was a player who was consistently mocked to the Seahawks, and I just didn't know if John Schneider would follow through. He's always been a guy who does not value the interior of the offensive line, and like a lot of Seahawks fans, I was concerned that that would continue. But he selected Gray Zabel, and I don't think there was a better pick that they could have made. Zabel is going to be a weapon in the system, and he is some of my favorite tape in this class. Let's jump in. Gray Zabel is a menace as a run blocker. This is the area of his game that I just can't wait to watch, and I think that it will immediately translate, particularly in this scheme. The biggest requirement of Kubiak's system is the quickness out of your stance. So much of his run game is about being able to get to your spot and being able to cut defenders off. You need to be able to play with urgency, and Zabel has the quickness and explosiveness to be able to do that. Let's start with this play from week 1 against Colorado. The Bison are running a version of the wham concept. This is a power blocking concept with the fullback coming down to take an interior player and the backside guard pulling to be the lead blocker. A lot goes wrong on this play for the offensive line, but let's just focus on Zabel. He plays with a different level of urgency. The first step is excellent, and he's immediately off and running and connects with the nose tackle. After securing that block with good power, he climbs up to the second level to take on the linebacker. He just looks like the fastest player on the field. This is the way that Kubiak needs his interior offensive linemen to play. The entire system is predicated on being able to get to your landmarks and secure rushing angles, and Zabel is incredible at those blocks. Here, when he's running outside zone, we again see the same explosiveness out of his stance as he quickly gets to the angle that he needs for the block. Now, everything kind of falls apart around him, but this is why Zabel will thrive in this scheme. But somehow for a guy with this quickness, Zabel also brings tremendous power. Guys who move like Zabel does often don't bring the power to move defenders, and Zabel can do both. Let's look at this play, and honestly, I don't really know what is happening here for North Dakota. I can't say that I've seen a triple team on a nose tackle before, but that is what happens. But again, Zabel explodes off the ball, and here he delivers a strong first punch. After that, he drives the defender back for about 5 yards after first contact. This was not an isolated incident, but this was a trend. Here's one of my favorite plays that he put on tape. NDSU is running inside zone, and this was a big play because of the dominant block from Zabel. He gets out of his stance quickly, as he always does, and he's able to engage the defender before he's prepared. After that, he wrestles his way to pave the lane for the running back. North Dakota consistently ran behind Zabel, and I think that the power that he brings to his game means that the Seahawks will be able to run behind him as well. But there's one more facet of Zabel as a run blocker that to me gives him truly elite upside. He is a nasty and physical player, and I do think that is important. You want your offensive linemen to play with an edge and be punishing to the defense, and that is what Zabel brings. He's not going to be out of control or a dirty player, but if he gets a pancake block, he might ensure that you're pinned to the ground through the whistle. He relishes opportunities to take on defensive backs. He just loves punishing defenders. Simply put, Zabel has the quickness, the power, and the mentality to be an elite run blocker. This is not only a guy who can get out on the move and beat linebackers to the spot, but he's also a guy that you can run power behind and feel good about it. And that is not a player that the Seahawks have had in a long time. As for weaknesses in run blocking, the biggest one is that occasionally he has hand placement and angle issues. There's a couple of plays against South Dakota State where Zabel isn't able to secure a proper angle on the defender and loses the block. To me, this is a blend of hand placement and footwork issues, and that's something that can pretty easily be cleaned up with more repping of these concepts in the NFL. Overall, his hand placement and angles were really good. There's just a couple of glaring losses that he will need to address. But now let's flip it over to pass protection. First and foremost, Zabel played tackle at NDSU, and he will most likely be playing guard or maybe center for the Seahawks. So I'm not going to show a lot of his tape of him mirroring around the edge because he's just not going to be asked to do that. But what does look to be translatable in his tape is excellent. Often when these tackles move inside, they can struggle to anchor against the bigger and stronger rushers, and I just don't have that concern for Zabel. At tackle, his anchoring technique was really clean. This is a guy that didn't get moved much at all when playing tackle, but I think this play where he does give a little bit of ground is even more impressive. This is a nice bull rush from the defender, and initially it is working against Zabel, but your anchoring technique is really all about being able to recover, and that is what Zabel does here. He sinks his hips, gets to a wide base, and gets underneath the defender. After that, the rush stalls out and Zabel easily mirrors to finish the play. This is what you're going to be asking him to do at guard, and he pretty consistently showed on tape that he has the anchoring to be able to pull it off. Now, of course, excellent anchor at tackle doesn't necessarily mean it will translate to the inside. Based on how he anchors, I do think that it will work, but this will be a transition. To me, this is an easy A grade for this selection. Gray Zabel fits the Seahawks' biggest need and is a tremendous player. This is not a reach in my book. I had a first round grade on Zabel, and something that hasn't been talked about enough is how this opens up day 2 for the Seahawks. They no longer have a gaping hole along their offensive line, and they're not going to be forced to reach to fill that spot. Even if you think that taking Zabel at 18 is a reach, which again, I don't, but the Seahawks needed to fill this position. You can't just sit back and say you'll take the best player available at every selection, because you literally don't have a starting left guard. The choices that the Seahawks made in free agency forced them to get a guard early. Taking Zabel at 18 now opens up day 2, where the Seahawks can play the board as it comes to them and take the best player available. You don't have to worry about trading up for an offensive lineman or taking someone who might not be ready to play. That is done. You got a great player, now go attack day 2. I can't wait to see who they'll pick. Subscribe here for more breakdowns on all of those draft selections. Thanks for watching, and go Hawks.